Most people think the most dangerous drinks for their health are soda or alcohol, but in reality, energy drinks have quietly taken the top spot when it comes to kidney damage. These drinks are consumed daily by millions of people who believe they are harmless tools for staying awake, working harder, or training better. What makes them especially dangerous is not just one ingredient, but the powerful combination of stimulants, sugars, and chemicals that force the kidneys into overdrive. The kidneys are responsible for filtering waste and balancing fluids in the body, and when they are hit with extreme levels of caffeine and synthetic additives, their workload increases far beyond what they were designed to handle. Unlike soda, which is usually consumed with meals, or alcohol, which many people limit to certain occasions, energy drinks are often taken multiple times a day, sometimes back to back, and frequently on an empty stomach, making their impact even more aggressive. Energy drinks deliver caffeine in much higher doses than most natural beverages, and this alone puts pressure on kidney function by raising blood pressure and increasing urine output. When the body loses more fluid than it takes in, dehydration occurs, and dehydration is one of the fastest ways to injure the kidneys. Thickened blood becomes harder to filter, and the tiny structures inside the kidneys that clean the blood begin to suffer microscopic damage. Over time, repeated stress can turn into chronic injury. What makes this worse is that energy drinks rarely contain just caffeine. They also include compounds like guarana and taurine, which act as additional stimulants, stacking their effects and pushing the kidneys even harder. The body experiences a surge of artificial alertness while the organs quietly absorb the strain. Sugar adds another layer of danger. Many energy drinks contain as much sugar as multiple desserts combined, creating sharp spikes in blood sugar and insulin. This increases inflammation throughout the body and raises the risk of developing insulin resistance and diabetes, which is the leading cause of kidney failure worldwide. Even sugar-free versions are not safe because artificial sweeteners and chemical flavorings still have to be processed by the kidneys and can interfere with normal fluid balance. Unlike water or natural drinks like tea or coffee, energy drinks do not hydrate the body properly. Instead, they pull fluid from it, creating the illusion of energy while silently increasing the risk of organ damage. What makes energy drinks more dangerous than soda or alcohol is how they are marketed and used. They are positioned as fitness tools, productivity boosters, and lifestyle essentials, encouraging constant use instead of moderation. People drink them before workouts, during long work shifts and late at night, combining dehydration, physical stress, and stimulant overload in the worst possible way for kidney health. Over time, this pattern trains the body to depend on chemicals instead of proper sleep, nutrition, and hydration, creating a cycle where the kidneys are repeatedly stressed without ever being allowed to fully recover. Your kidneys are two small organs, but they are responsible for one of the biggest jobs in your entire body. Every minute they filter your blood, remove waste, balance minerals, and control how much water stays inside you. They also help regulate blood pressure and support healthy red blood cell production. They work non-stop, day and night, without rest, without holidays, and without asking for attention. Unlike your heart, which you can feel when it beats fast, or your lungs, which you notice when you are out of breath, your kidneys do their work quietly in the background. Because of this, most people never think about them until something goes wrong. The most dangerous part about kidney damage is that it does not come with early warning signs. You can lose a large portion of kidney function and still feel completely normal. No sharp pain, no obvious signal, no emergency feeling. The damage builds slowly over time as toxins and extra fluid become harder to filter. While this is happening, a person may only notice small changes like feeling tired more often, needing to urinate more or less than usual, or having slight swelling in the hands or face. These signs are easy to ignore and easy to blame on stress or lack of sleep. Meanwhile, inside the body, the kidneys are struggling to keep up. When kidney function drops, waste products that should leave the body stay in the bloodstream. This leads to fatigue, headaches, nausea, and difficulty concentrating. Blood pressure often rises because the kidneys help regulate fluid levels, and when that balance is disturbed, the heart and blood vessels are affected. Over time, this creates a chain reaction that impacts nearly every system in the body. Bones become weaker because mineral balance is off, muscles lose strength, and the immune system becomes less effective. The person still may not feel severe pain, which is why kidney disease is often called a silent condition. What makes this even more serious is that once kidney damage reaches a certain level, it cannot be reversed. The body does not easily regenerate kidney tissue the way it can heal a cut on the skin. When enough damage builds up, the only options left are dialysis or a transplant. Dialysis is not a cure. It is a machine that does part of the kidney's job for a few hours at a time, several days a week. Life becomes structured around treatments, fatigue becomes constant, and freedom becomes limited. All of this can begin from years of habits that seemed harmless at the time. Because kidney failure develops slowly, people often assume it is something that happens suddenly or only to the elderly. In reality, it can begin in young adults and progress quietly for years before it is discovered. This is why protecting kidney health is not about reacting to symptoms, but about preventing stress and damage before it starts. The kidneys depend on steady hydration, stable blood pressure, and low toxin load to function properly. When those conditions are disrupted repeatedly, even without noticeable pain, the decline continues in the background, unnoticed, until the damage is too advanced to ignore and the body can no longer maintain balance on its own. Energy drinks place an unnatural and extreme burden on the kidneys because they contain a concentrated mix of substances the body was never meant to process in large amounts all at once. The kidneys are designed to handle natural waste products from food, water, and normal metabolism, not heavy doses of synthetic stimulants and chemical additives taken repeatedly throughout the day. When someone drinks an energy drink, the kidneys must immediately begin filtering caffeine, preservatives, artificial colours, and performance-enhancing compounds from the bloodstream. This creates a sudden spike in workload, forcing the tiny filtering units inside the kidneys to work harder and faster than normal. Over time, this constant pressure weakens their ability to clean the blood efficiently. Caffeine is the main driver of this overload. Energy drinks often contain far more caffeine than coffee or tea, and the body absorbs it quickly. Caffeine raises blood pressure and speeds up heart rate, which pushes more blood through the kidneys at higher force. While this may seem harmless in the moment, repeated exposure causes stress on the delicate filtering structures. At the same time, caffeine acts as a diuretic, meaning it increases urine production and pulls water out of the body. When fluid levels drop, the blood becomes thicker and harder to filter, forcing the kidneys to strain even more just to keep up with normal detoxification. What makes energy drinks especially dangerous is that caffeine is rarely the only stimulant inside them. Ingredients like guarana, taurine, and ginseng act as amplifiers, intensifying the stimulant effect. These compounds stimulate the nervous system and increase metabolic activity, which creates more waste products that must be removed from the blood. The kidneys are then faced with two problems at once: higher toxin levels and reduced hydration. This combination is like asking a cleaning machine to work faster while taking away its water supply. The system can cope for a while, but eventually the strain begins to cause microscopic damage that builds over time. On top of the stimulants, energy drinks also contain preservatives and artificial sweeteners that do not exist in nature. These substances must still be filtered and eliminated by the kidneys, adding to the chemical load. Unlike water or natural beverages, energy drinks do not support the body's natural detox process. Instead, they interrupt it by flooding the bloodstream with compounds that require extra effort to remove. When this happens daily, the kidneys are locked into a cycle of stress with no recovery time. The danger is not always immediate. A person can drink energy drinks for months or years and feel fine because the kidneys are strong and adaptable. But adaptation does not mean protection. It means the kidneys are compensating under pressure. Each day of overload slightly reduces their efficiency, even if there are no obvious symptoms. Eventually, this repeated chemical stress weakens their ability to regulate fluids, balance minerals, and remove waste. When that point is reached, the damage is often already significant and difficult to reverse. What seems like a simple habit of grabbing a can for energy becomes a long-term assault on organs that depend on balance and hydration to survive, slowly pushing them toward exhaustion and failure, without any clear warning signs along the way. High caffeine intake plays a major role in damaging kidney health because it directly affects both blood pressure and hydration levels in the body. When caffeine enters the bloodstream, it stimulates the nervous system and causes blood vessels to tighten. This leads to an increase in blood pressure, forcing the heart to pump harder and pushing blood through the kidneys with greater pressure than normal. The kidneys are made up of millions of tiny filters that are designed to clean the blood gently and steadily. When blood pressure stays elevated for long periods, these delicate filters become strained and can begin to scar. Over time, this scarring reduces their ability to properly filter waste and balance fluids, increasing the risk of chronic kidney disease. At the same time, caffeine acts as a diuretic, meaning it makes the body lose water through increased urination. While this might not seem serious, repeated fluid loss without proper replacement leads to dehydration. Dehydration thickens the blood, making it harder for the kidneys to filter out toxins efficiently. The kidneys must then work harder to remove waste products, which adds even more stress to an already strained system. When dehydration becomes a regular condition rather than an occasional event, the kidneys are placed in a constant state of survival mode, trying to conserve water while still performing their cleaning function. This combination of high blood pressure and dehydration creates a dangerous environment for kidney tissue. Elevated blood pressure damages the small blood vessels that supply the kidneys with oxygen and nutrients. Dehydration reduces blood flow, further limiting oxygen delivery. Together, these factors weaken kidney cells and increase the likelihood of injury. In the early stages, this damage is invisible. A person may not feel pain or notice any obvious changes in their body. The kidneys continue to function, but at a reduced capacity, quietly losing efficiency over time. Another problem with caffeine-driven dehydration is that it disrupts the balance of electrolytes such as sodium and potassium. The kidneys are responsible for keeping these minerals within a narrow range that supports muscle function and heart rhythm. When fluid levels drop too often, this balance becomes unstable. The kidneys must then work even harder to restore normal levels, adding to their workload. This constant correction process exhausts the system and increases the chance of long-term damage. High caffeine intake also encourages patterns that worsen kidney stress. People who rely on caffeine often skip proper hydration and meals, replacing them with stimulant drinks. This means the kidneys are filtering concentrated waste without the dilution that water normally provides. Over time, this increases the risk of kidney stones and inflammatory conditions that further impair function. While 1 cup of coffee or tea in moderation may not be harmful, large doses of caffeine from energy drinks or repeated consumption throughout the day create a cycle of pressure and fluid loss that the kidneys are not equipped to handle safely. When this pattern becomes daily behavior, it slowly wears down the organs responsible for cleansing the blood and maintaining balance, raising the likelihood of kidney disease and eventual failure if the habit continues unchecked. Energy drinks are not just about caffeine. Even though caffeine gets most of the attention, what makes them especially dangerous for the kidneys is the combination of extra stimulants and additives such as taurine, guarana, and niacin that are blended together into one concentrated formula. Each of these substances affects the body in its own way, but when they are taken together, their effects stack and multiply, creating far more stress on the organs than people realize. Guarana, for example, is a plant extract that naturally contains caffeine, meaning that when it is added to an energy drink, it increases the total caffeine load without being clearly recognized as such. This can lead to consuming much more stimulant than intended, pushing heart rate and blood pressure higher and forcing the kidneys to process an even larger volume of stress hormones and metabolic waste. Taurine is another common ingredient that is marketed as a performance enhancer. It plays a role in nerve signaling and muscle contraction. And while small amounts from food are not harmful, large doses in energy drinks can overstimulate the nervous system. This overstimulation raises overall metabolic activity, producing more waste products in the bloodstream that must be filtered out by the kidneys. At the same time, taurine can affect how fluids move in and out of cells, which can disrupt normal hydration balance. When hydration is altered and waste production increases at the same time, the kidneys are placed under a double burden, working harder to maintain stability inside the body. Niacin, also known as vitamin B3, is included in many energy drinks in amounts far higher than the body needs. While it is essential in small quantities, excessive intake can become toxic. High doses of niacin have been linked to liver strain and kidney stress because the body must break down and eliminate the excess through these organs. When niacin levels are repeatedly elevated, the kidneys must process more byproducts of metabolism, adding to their chemical workload. This is especially risky when combined with dehydration and high blood pressure caused by caffeine and other stimulants. What makes this combination more dangerous than a single ingredient is the way these compounds interact inside the body. Guarana increases stimulant load, taurine affects nervous and fluid systems, and niacin adds metabolic waste that must be cleared. Together, they create a condition where the kidneys are filtering thicker blood, higher toxin levels, and unstable fluid balance all at once. The kidneys are designed for steady, moderate work, not sudden chemical surges followed by dehydration. Over time, these repeated surges can damage the tiny blood vessels and filters inside the kidneys, reducing their efficiency without causing immediate pain. Because these ingredients are often described as natural or beneficial, people assume they are safe in any amount. In reality, natural does not mean harmless when consumed in high doses and combined with powerful stimulants. When energy drinks are used daily or multiple times a day, the kidneys are exposed to this chemical mix over and over again with little time to recover. The body may adapt temporarily, but adaptation does not prevent injury, it only hides it. As this stress continues, the kidneys become less able to regulate fluids, remove waste, and maintain mineral balance, quietly moving closer to dysfunction while the person feels only a temporary boost of artificial energy